Let's talk about positivity at work. So for you, positivity at work plays a big role in the environment around you, both what you walk into and how you affect it, and the one that you create for yourself. It's possible that you can walk into a very serious and even challenging work environment and bring light and levity to the space, which we'd all enjoy. I would imagine that you have an internal belief that joy and excitement are necessary for people to do good work. And in many ways, you're right. People who experience joy and excitement and contentment at work are far more likely to be engaged in and report satisfaction at work. But as with every strength, there is balance to strike. Some people don't come to work to have fun. They want to come, they want to do their tasks, they want to interact minimally, and they want to leave. You can still create a positive environment at work without needing others to be just like you or need exactly what you need in the workplace. Part of your positivity can be observing what others need and helping to create that environment. Also, knowing that those people that choose to be on their own, that want to have more kind of a secluded work environment, that's great. You can still provide a different kind of positive work environment for them as you do for others in the workplace who maybe appreciate a bit more jovial experience like you. In this situation as a leader, I would just say learn the strengths of the people on your team, learn how they like to operate, how they like to be communicated with, and act accordingly, utilizing your positivity. Creating a positive work environment does not always have to mean fun and over the top. It can just simply mean positive. So you can kind of decide based on the makeup of your team what that looks like for you all. Now, as I mentioned in the introduction video, praise is a big part of positivity for you. So you probably believe that it's impossible to praise too much, for praise to be overdone. But that isn't the case for everyone. So, and to some, receiving praise constantly or for every little thing can really dilute the potency and the impact of that praise. By taking time to learn about others on your team and how they like to be recognized and, praised, you'll be able to fulfill your drive to create a positive environment and provide praise and recognition to people by giving them what they need rather than what you just want to put out there. If you don't have the natural kind of inclination to look at someone and figure out what it is that they want and how they want to be treated, that's okay. That isn't a particular strength in and of itself. You can either find someone who has that sort of individualization focused strength, or you can just take time to learn about your team's strengths, maybe their love languages. There's a love languages at work offering as well. And or just ask them, like, how do you like to receive praise? How do you like to be recognized for your work? Because there are some people who love to be called out in front of the team or in front of the organization for the work that they've done. And there are other people who would be absolutely horrified by that. So knowing how to praise your people, your colleagues, etc., is just as important as actually giving praise. So make sure you ask the question. For you, in order to thrive in a work environment, you're really going to need the freedom to experience joy in your work and create joy in your work. And so if you can't easily find or create that in your current work environment, even in small ways, it may be time to look elsewhere. So at work, one of the potential blind spots that I've seen that the research speaks to is in how others perceive your positivity. And that is that, they may not take you seriously. I know. It's hard to hear and it's hard to understand because to you, your positivity is how you create environments, how you build relationships, how you support people, how you do your work. To some, your positivity might come off as superficial or even naive or insincere, which is obviously not the intention and not what you're experiencing it as, but what other people could potentially perceive it as. So it's important that in a work setting, you maybe don't need to share every single praise or positive thought out loud. And I know that might feel a little bit painful, especially if you have strengths around like communication or woo or something like that. That's like, why? How can I not do that? I'd encourage you to find a work environment where you can do that and where that is like accepted and encouraged. But for the majority of you that have positivity high, something you could do is maybe practice kind of recording praise, right? Like, oh, wow, I want to say, man, this so-and-so did this thing. Instead of saying it out loud, write it down. Keep a log of like, this person has done all of these great things. This person has done all of these great things. This team has accomplished these things, right? This company has accomplished these things. And keeping kind of this log so that when you do present praise and you do present recognition, A, you're doing it in the way that the people say they want it. And B, it can feel more potent. It can feel more purposeful because you're like, hey, this is what I've observed of you over the last couple of weeks or months. Or you just go through that list and you're like, these are the 2 or 3 like biggest things that I think are going to have the biggest impact and are going to mean the most to them, rather than just like every little thing I noticed that I got excited about. They might not feel the same way about that. So by recording it, then when someone is disappointed or they're feeling unmotivated, or they accomplish something really big, that's the time that you can step in and be like, hey, I see you. I see what you've been doing. You may be having a hard time right now, but let me point out to you what it is that you've done over the last couple of weeks or months or years or whatever it is. And then when they do accomplish a big goal or a big milestone, instead of having a million little things along the way, you can really focus on that one thing. Now, again, I say this, but I want to reiterate that it's really important to know your people, to know the people around you and how they want to receive praise, because maybe some of us need some of that little encouragement along the way to get to our final goal. And some of us are going to really appreciate that final celebration more than all the little things along the way. It may be trial and error. It may be a lot of conversations. Either way, you are capable of providing exactly what people need in a work environment. You just have to ask. You just have to kind of figure it out. As a leader, you, in order to kind of avoid this like over celebratory, again, I know every time I say this, you're like, you are kidding me, right? Over celebration, is there a thing? To some, yes. But as a leader, to kind of avoid this feeling or perception of being superficial or naive or insincere, which I think would be probably the big thing if you are over complimenting people on your team as a leader, think about celebrating specific milestones. So whatever milestones you've set, whatever goals you've set, those are the things that you're really going to celebrate largely. And that can be energized when it's not overdone or underdone. And I know it's this like fine balancing act, and it really, really is. But when you get it right, it's so, so right. So find the right balance for your team, know the people around you and how they like to be recognized and what feels good to them. And do that rather than doing just what feels good for you and what you're just immediately called to do. All right, that's what we have for positivity at work. In the next video, I'm going to talk a little bit about positivity in your everyday life. So I'll see you over there.